ดู
All right, welcome to Living with Passion. Let's give all of you a big hand again. All right. When I was young, I have a dream, and my dream is to go into a school. You might have heard of it. It's called Harvard. But I don't believe it because no one in the small town which I come from have ever gone to that school. So when you have dreams that no one have gone through, do you believe in yourself? Yeah, okay, you still, right? But it's kind of hard, right? So for me, luckily for me, I know a friend who is from Hong Kong, who has an uncle that come from Canada, and the uncle went to Harvard. And I remember looking at the picture of that uncle, I'm like, if this guy can come into Harvard, I think I can too. So I set my goal, and I opened my diary, and I wrote down, go into Harvard within a year. And I remember that 1 year I studied so hard. I studied for the entry exam for 2 months straight, nighttime, because I was working full-time, starting my own company. Weekend, I was studying for the exam too. And then, my English is not so good because I didn't do so well in my university English. So this is what I do. I took on a challenge of taking a 3rd year English course. And I hired a private English teacher, study extra hard for it so that I make sure I ace the exam to show that my English can make it. Long story very short, after applying for about a year, I make it, okay? And to make sure I make it, guess what you have to do? Now I look at the admission rate. Well, it's less than 10% admission rate to get into Harvard. So what do? I apply for 10 university, right? So in my simplistic mind, 10 times 10% is 100% sure you should make it one, right? So I applied for all 10, and I forever remember that I was anxiously waiting for the result to come in, and during my time is the fax machine time. Okay, so now you know which generation I live in, right? So I'm waiting for the fax to come in, like should I get in, should I not get in, right? And then the letter say, we are happy to inform you that you are admitted to Harvard University. And I can tell you, I was coming from a small town, I was so happy because I couldn't believe, that happened to me. I was jumping up and down because I know my life is going to change. Not that I got into university, but rather that, I make a dreams come true in my life, which I don't believe that can come true. So my question for all of us today is, what are some of those dreams that even yourself think is impossible? Your life is such. There are things that we think of to ourselves. Maybe some of us want to be the next, Harry Potter writer, writing the next 7 series of Harry Potter, but we don't think that we can make that come true. Some of you, I interact earlier, want to be an architect, but in your heart of heart, do you believe that you can make that come true? So without further ado, I'm going to bring out my guest, but before that, let's give all of you a big hand again. Let's get started. Thank you. So, being an architect, we know is never an easy journey. And so today we have a young man that went through that journey and be an architect. His family come from a long lineage of architect, but he is set on his right to become a famous architect of himself. He has built some of the building you probably has recognized along with the family. So without further ado, can we bring up Mr. Zhu Idris? Yeah.
Morning. Good morning.
Oh, yeah. All right. Oh, good evening. It's in the studio, you can't tell, right? First question, right? Do you always want to be an architect? The truth.
Well, no.
You hesitate.
I'm just thinking back.
Yeah.
I think I always had the exposure of architecture from my dad. So growing up, you just get that added bonus of knowing what architecture is about. I mean, I was always technically inclined, and
Meaning you can draw.
Well, no, I like building things.
Okay.
You start with Lego and that's
we
right.
check the audience. Who like Lego? Even before the Lego movie come out. Okay, some of you. Okay, good. Okay.
And it starts from there, and then you sort of creativity. And I think from early days, I like creating things and making things, you know, drawing your own cars, making your own toys, this type of thing. So I guess
So start with creating something.
That's right, yeah.
Not drawing, but creating blocks of things.
Yes, more things to play with, you know, and then you realize that your imagination is, you know, you're limited only by what you can make, but your imagination, you can imagine the rest of it, right? So I think through play, you grow. And architecture, I suppose, having a dad in architecture, you can sort of see his way of visualizing and then creating. You know, I think that's a bigger scale of what I was doing, and I suppose I did strive to become something in those lines. You know, if it wasn't architecture, it would be allied arts. I was even thinking like naval architecture, you know, design yachts.
Yachts, okay. Because you're so immersed in that environment. You saw those architects every day of your life.
Yeah, that's right, that's right.
So naval, you're thinking building warship?
No. Well, I want more yachts and luxury, you know, luxury craft. If it wasn't that, you know, somewhere in there, industrial design, creating things. I think I was always headed in that direction.
Got that. Okay. Share with us some of the things that you're working on right now, if you don't mind.
Well, right now we're finishing up the Women and Child block at REPAS, the National Hospital.
The National Hospital.
So that's a very exciting project. I think it's on the radar for most people. You drive past it on the highway, and you sort of know that it's up and coming. So that'll be finished. It's very, very close to finishing, and I think it should be up and running end of the year. So.
Okay, got it. So by the time we saw this on TV, it might be finished, yes?
It could be,
It could be finished,
yeah.
Yes.
And the police headquarters, Royal Brunei Police Force, that's quite an iconic you know, landmark, I suppose. It was designed in such a way that it grabbed your attention, and it has a presence for the face of the Royal Brunei Police. So I think we succeeded on at least giving them a presence now in Brunei. So
Got it. So don't get into trouble because the police station is
yeah,
very okay. Which is some of the more other challenging or more interesting project that you come across in your line so far?
Well, definitely the hospital is the most challenging. I mean, there's so many aspects of designing and making healthcare facilities. So it's not just making it pretty, but actually it has to work. And this is a learning curve. You have to learn all about how hospitals work and run, and you work together with you know, specialists, etc.
Actually, you're right. It's not just because in a lot of architect we thought that it's just make it sure that it's pretty, it's good, right? Pretty and sort of usable a lot of time is good enough, but for hospital, it must work.
Of course.
The transportation time for you know, can you imagine you go to label and then you take forever, you know, to arrive at the operating room or delivery room. That's, you know, and how does it, you know, healthcare, make sure make sure that the air is clean, etc.
That's right.
So all those need to be.
Yes, they need to be handled and done properly. Yeah. So you've got specialist planners, specialist engineers. Then you have to do the local requirements, how the hospitals operate, and to make sure that everything is in sync. Yeah. So we have to handle those aspects as well as the construction of the actual building. So
because it's additional wings too. Yeah.
Construction of buildings is a challenge already, and once you get into other aspects of, you know, there's technical requirements and physical planning, etc. You have to it's a long process. You have to start and think about all of these things before you get to the building stage.
Yeah. Just take the hospital for example. What would be one interesting challenge that you put extra thought into to make it works? I'm sure there are many, but
of course, yes, there's a lot. But I guess starting from the very beginning, the size of the building was bigger than the land available, the lot available that was given to us. So therein was a challenge. We basically
do that. A small land, and then you go up, right?
Yeah, that's right. So that's exactly what we did. We created the hill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we basically built out, of course, within the allowed limits, and I think you'll notice that it's not overimposing, and we've done the proper setbacks, so it doesn't feel overbearing as what it could have been. So I think we're very sensitive in that regard. So try to make it in harmony. I think that's a key attribute that our architecture, my architecture tries to achieve. The harmony of
harmony. Tell us more about harmony.
Well,
because as a person, right, we're thinking harmony means don't be angry.
Yes.
How can I be at peace, right? But architect, that must be delivered structurally.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I suppose every architect wants to have an impact, but I guess my approach is a bit more subtle. And architecture is 4D, I mean, fourth dimension. So
what do you mean by that?
Architecture, you say like a drawing is 2D,
Yep.
2 dimensions. And then when you get into a physical thing, it's 3D, 3 dimensions, right?
It's
Yeah,
3D,
it's a physical
3D,
thing.
Yep.
But architecture goes into the next dimension of time, fourth dimension. So when you design something and build, it has to grow, it has to live, and it has to change over time. Or it does change inherently. So whatever you've done now doesn't mean 20 years later it's the same thing. So you have to visualize and anticipate all of these, the growth of the building, the adaptability of the building.
Yeah. If there are audience people in the audience or people on TV that love to become an architect one day, what would be some of the advice you have for them?
Well, architecture, to be an architect, I think it's more than just a career. It's a lifestyle. You live and breathe it. So I think once you get into it, you can't. There's no way out. Really.
Well, what kind of a lifestyle are you talking about?
I mean, you imagine and you go to sleep and you're designing. You
dream.
You live and breathe architecture. You read about architecture. You study. You're ongoing. You visit when you go visiting. You're looking at architecture. Every building you visit, you're admiring or learning something.
You're just absorbing constantly.
That's right.
And even when you're in your sleep,
That's right. That's some of the best ideas is just before you fall asleep, and then you
So
got the idea.
Piece of paper next to you, and then you. And then wake up and like, voila, here's the best art ever.
That's
I wish
right.
school is that easy, right? You do that with your exam, right? You put the exam paper next to your homework, right? And then you.
Well, that might become only the sketch. This is what I'm talking about. The painting that inspires the overall design.
You start somewhere. You never know, right? You pick from that.
And that's right. Yeah. And I mean, every project that you try to do is personalized for the client. So there's no project the same. Every project is start from zero. You've got your new client, new brief, new site, and new budget, new limitations. So that's why you just start again and you absorb everything and it becomes.
And
it
becomes.
Yeah.
How
right.
powerful will it become?
That's right.
Not just creating, but it becomes.
Yes.
So in terms of becoming, so what are you becoming? What's next for you? What are you hoping to get? Yeah.
Well, I definitely still want to stay in the field of architecture.
Yeah.
But I guess the ambition is to maybe branch out a little bit. Maybe it's related to architecture. Like I want to see a bit more public art in buildings.
Okay.
Not
just a form, but the artistic of that.
Well, actually, commission art for the purpose of public enjoyment, and I think iconic things. Brunei's architecture scene is there's a line of MIB, Melayu Islam Beraja architecture. So this is something that the Institute, Architect Institute, Puja and PAAB, we're working on trying to identify and how to create this Bruneian architecture, and
as a style, as an art.
Well, that's the thing, to not become globalized and cut paste from international websites and then come to Brunei, and it doesn't work.
Uniqueness, right?
That's right. You have to have our culture,
Right.
our heritage, and of course our climate.
Perfect. We have a chance to talk more about it
Yeah.
first, and then you're going to show and tell some of your pieces.
Yes.
But for now, let's give a huge hand to Zhu Idris. Thank you for being with us. Thank you. All right, we have Zhu again. Let's give Zhu a big hand. So I believe today you have something for us here.
Yes, I've just brought in just an example of a study model. And this is of a school that we've designed for one of the ministries, and it's not yet built, but I'm a big fan of physical models, and you know, like we've got little. I think you can really see on the camera here, but you know, like physical options that you test on the actual buildings.
Interesting, right? It's no longer just computer graphic on computer, but
well,
you put
this
it
is old
physically.
school. This is old school. So the I think there's a tangible aspect of physical models, and that's why I'm such a fan. I mean, when I was studying and when I went through architecture school, the building of models is you need to do that and to present it as well. So, but I find it as a study and as part of the creative process, you design and build physical models. Has an extra quality to it. You actually feel you're visualizing yourself in those spaces.
Yeah, as you work through the
that's
thing,
right.
you
Yeah,
see.
we lose it a little bit now because of a lot of computer generation. Like you're generating the same thing but on the computer. I still feel it's not quite the same creative things. I think later on, once it's already formed and visualizing, the computer is perfect. And I have a couple of scenes of the same school, of the same project, little views of it. So maybe you can show those images. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I want to show like we go from very large like hospitals right down to little details. And I have a couple of pictures from the Salihin Mosque.
Right.
The Moroccan hand-cut mosaic, they call the zilij. Where we went to Morocco and actually hand-picked the design and worked with the master craftsman who is doing this authentic, centuries-old method of cutting the tiles and organizing them into a mosaic. Yeah.
Perfect. It's a lot of physical, not just
that's right.
3D, not just 2D, but very 3D.
Yes, that's right.
Feel and touch. That, yeah.
Exactly. Yes. I mean, the detail that you get into. I mean, we're talking about the texture of the carpet and the colors that we've selected of the tiles. Exactly. Every even the furniture. We go into the selection that make everything in harmony.
In harmony. Okay. On that note, I believe the audience have some question for us. Yes. Can we have some questions, please? Yes, please. Gentleman in purple.
Hello, my name is Nikki.
Hi, Nikki.
Hi. How or where do you get creative designs and ideas to create the building, like the structures and all the designs?
Yeah, is it in your dreams or something? Yes.
Okay. Well, the ideas. I generally start with the client and what they are interested in, but the designs and ideas come from anything. Structures come later. I think you have to figure out what it wants to be, what the building wants to be, and then you arrange your structures and details accordingly. So, it could be just a client which likes art, and you design a house which is to showcase their collection of art. Or if they are artists, you have a space for them to actually make their art. Yeah.
So we come from a very tangible what's needed.
Yes.
Using that to drive all the arts that surround that.
That's right. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Next question. Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Shafiq.
Hi, Shafiq.
What is the difference between architect and interior design?
Okay.
I get confused on that too sometimes.
Well, generally, interior design is limited to an existing structure. So you have a shell and you fit it out, meaning you make it work for the interior. Architecture, you start from nothing. Start from zero and you can create a whole city. So your scale, I guess, is a level of scale. Architecture also, architects have to, there's a saying, engineers know a lot about one thing, very specific, your chemical engineers, mechanical engineers, etc. But an architect, you need to know a little bit about everything. So to bring everything together from an idea and all the problems that the clients have got, and you've got a site, to bring it together and create something, you need to know how it works, how it can come together before you can even get there, you see. I think there is a difference with interior design. They focus a lot on the details. The details, and gets down, it's a different scale.
Yeah, but I guess that's how the architect and the interior designer complement, right? Architect work on that scale, put in the basic structure, and the interior designer can come in and work out all the magic.
That's right, and not to say that architects cannot do that scale, because we've done the same also, but it's more, every architect is different, so you've got different strengths. Yeah. Okay, great. Let's have one more question. Yes?
Hi, my name is Rikiana. I would like to ask, Brunei, we're currently developing, right? And we're supposed to be the generation with a vision. So I think architects play a significant role in this vision. So I would like to know, what are your visions for this country?
I love that. We are the generation of the vision, which need to be true for something to be continue building based on what we have built so far.
That's right, yeah. Well, I mean, visions for a greener Brunei, I suppose, a sustainable architecture. I'm part of the Green Building Council and the Green Building Movement, so we're getting there, and I think Brunei has potential. And I've mentioned it before, that we are a small country, and I think if everybody works together and we've got the direction there and the ambition, we could be the first green nation.
Actually, that would be very
it is achievable, and because of our scale, then it works. Everybody can claim that they have the first green town or the green city, but we are a very, very possible reality that we could become the first green nation
of the world.
That's right.
If not of the region.
Well, no, of the world. There is no green country. That's right, yeah.
So we can.
Yes.
Actually, we can, right? With 400,000 population, and to be fair, we have a lot of greenery within us.
Yeah, and how to live in harmony with that greenery, right?
All right. With that, let's give Zhu a huge hand. Thank you. No, pleasure. And I think today is great because we start by talking about how is that we can make our impossible dreams come true. Zhu become architect, but what happened is your journey is not just architect. Now you are part of the generation of making the vision come true, as well as if we can really eventually build a green country of the world, that would be amazing. Yeah, so if you never step into your journey to make our dreams come true, then the rest of this will not come true. So I think for the audience, even for us, and definitely for those watching on TV, the question really is, what would be that dreams, that impossible dreams that you've been thinking about, but you have not made that come true, and it's really up to you to make that come true. So thank you for tuning in to Living with Passion. Thank you for coming. And remember, if you have a dream, please share with us on our Facebook. My name is Sun, your host from Living with Passion. And remember this, whatever you do with your life, live with passion. Thank you for being here. Let's give a huge hand again to Zhu, to all of you, and thank you for coming in. And I'll see you again.